Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's a regular meeting of the Lammersville Unified School District Board of Education for October 5th, 2016. I call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Please note the meeting is being recorded, and at this time, if everyone would please silence their cell phones, it'd be appreciated. And I will introduce our principal from Lammersville Elementary School, Irene Buzatil, who's going to introduce our students that are going to lead us in a pledge.
Good evening. I am very pleased to introduce two of our 6th grade ASB students. I have Aniele and Kayla.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we're going to get an update on Lammersville, right?
Okay. Lammersville Elementary School celebrating 140 years.
140 year celebration events. LSF Auction Dinner Dance will be inviting alumni and display photos throughout the years at the dance. A reunion/homecoming is the theme, plus our great homecoming float.
Friday morning's assemblies include character counts awards, team building activities, spirit activities, words of approval, birthday acknowledgments, and announcements.
In August, we have our music class and just hanging around our campus.
We had a great day at leadership. We learned to trust people.
During September, we had our 5th grade present the preamble, our walkathon, and the 4th grade class celebrating Miss Ripkin's birthday.
Mountain House High School homecoming parade was fun. We had a scrambled theme. Also, we wanted everyone to know that we are celebrating our 140 years as a school.
This is our robotics 6th through 8th elective class, where they learn to build stuff.
This is our gardening elective class. We garden fruits and vegetables.
This is our drama elective. We are putting on a play named Alice in Wonderland in December.
In October, we will be doing Red Ribbon Week and our Halloween parade.
In November through December, we are putting on our Santa Secret Shop and winter break.
On January, the 6th graders are going to science camp.
Through February and March, we are looking forward to Pajama Day and our Random Act of Kindness Week.
On May, we will be doing our 8th grade promotion, and it will be our last day of school. Thank you.
Good job, ladies. Very nice job, ladies. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you for the presentation. A lot of good stuff going on over at Lammersville there. Ladies, if you would like to go, you can, or you can stay. It's up to you, but thank you for your participation tonight. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Sharon Lampel.
Here.
Shane Nielsen.
Absent.
David Pombo.
Here.
Samantha DeTiberis.
Here.
Approval, Dansmore, Christian, the agenda. I'm going to move a couple items here. We have a few folks here that we'd like to have them present first so we can get them out of here. Item 9B, we're going to move up the early college overview, and item 11A, fundraiser policy review. We'll move that up just before the committee reports.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. So item 9B, early college overview. Staff report.
It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jesse Garza Roderick, Pablo Ortega, and our own Renee Boswell to present one of and Ben Faubert, sitting in the background, to present one of our programs that we put together over the last couple of years that's really doing some amazing things for kids.
Thank you, Curt. I just wanted to thank the board, President Balzerini, and board members for supporting this wonderful partnership. I think you're going to see some information that's really going to be incredible and amazing. We were talking about the presentation earlier because 3 years from now, you will be graduating your first group of students who will have an AS, their general education done, and will be admissible to some of the most competitive, prestigious universities in the country. So next is Ben and Renee and Pablo for the presentation.
So I'd just like to begin by saying Dr. Boswell and Pablo Ortega have worked tirelessly on putting together the program that we have at the school, and it continues to morph into something that's going to be really great for our students. We're very excited to be able to present to you some of the data that we've collected on our first cohorts that are going through and some of the information about what we're doing with the program as we move forward. And so I'll turn the time over to Pablo and Renee.
Thank you for listening to our presentation today. This is a wonderful program that we have developed, and it's taken a lot of time, but a lot of great time, and a lot of time that's benefited our students, and you can see it in their eyes when they come and talk to me in my office about hey, here we're doing this class, and we have a lot of fun things going on in the school that also help them come together and build camaraderie and community within the program too. So I'll be talking about a little bit of that as well. A couple of things that this program enables the students to do is to earn their associate's degree. It also helps them to get their general education classes and also their transfer requirements for UC, CSUs, and private universities. And they do all of this by the time they graduate from high school. It also combines a high school and college at a rigorous yet supportive environment, and it also helps the students gain the tools they need for college and exploring careers.
So the early college pathway program benefits our students. First, let me create an idea of what our program is like. We have high school students.
Can you move up to the microphone so we can get on video? Thank you.
Yes. So my name is Pablo Ortega. I'm the counselor over at Delta College at South Campus. And the program is set up where high school students, we create what's called a cohort. And so we're in our second cohort, and we have a group of students that come in from the high school and also that are coming in from their 8th grade and their freshman year through senior year. They take courses at Delta College, the satellite campus. And from that, we get all that Jesse and Dr. Boswell were talking about. So what's important for me in a nutshell to tell you as a counselor is that your students are going to get the A through G requirements, which are the high school requirements they need to get into the UC system. They're also going to get the IGETC requirements, and that stands for Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum, and that's the GE, or General Education Design, for the UC system. And also your students, if they take all the prescribed courses in the path for the 4 years they're in the high school at Mountain House High School and they're taking Delta courses, they will get a 2-year degree called the AS in Math and Sciences.
The way they apply to the program is they first apply to Delta College. They actually become a student of Delta. They do their their Compass assessment, which is their entrance exam. Then they fill out our application, which is pretty rigorous. We have them do a teacher recommendations. They have 2 student essays they have to do. Then there is a parent essay that is required. They have to tell us why they want their student to be in the program and how they're going to support them with the program. We also have an informational night, and it is actually coming up the 20th of this month for all of our 8th grade parents and students in the district. And they will be at that meeting, and we will be discussing the program to them, and they will be deciding if they want their students to apply to the program program. After they apply, after they get accepted, then they start classes in the fall of their 9th grade year. So we start them already in their 8th grade year talking about it, giving them all the information, and then they start the fall of their 9th grade year. Right now, as Pablo kind of said, right now we do have 2 cohorts going. We started one cohort a little earlier than the fall. So cohort 1 has been going since the spring of 2016, and they've also had classes this summer of 2016. Our cohort 2, which is 31 students, they just started this fall of 2016.
So up on the screen you'll see a sample educational plan for cohort 1. And the way that the educational plan was designed was that we put some general education courses that we thought the students can handle, because after all, they are freshmen. And then we lead into some of the courses that are more rigorous, like pre-calculus and calculus, core biology and chemistry. And those courses are listed in the PowerPoint behind you. You'll see the plan. And the goal is to transition these students from general education classes and then get them into harder, rigorous classes in the math and sciences. That's why they get their degree in the AS in math and sciences. And I have to tell you, just briefly, the instructors are very impressed with our students from Mountain House. They're doing really well, and Renee will talk about that in a couple of minutes.
So, of course, we collected some data of the program. I enjoy data, but here's some of the data that we got. First of all, cohort 1 is the one that started in the spring of 2016. Started with 38, we have 38 students in there. Right now, and this is during their time in the program, their GPA has sustained to a 3.89, and that's the high school GPA of 3.89. We also have some passing rates of the 4 classes that they took. They took religion, guidance, psychology, and communication studies, and you can see their passing rates there. And then we also have their GPA, their Delta college GPA as during the time they've been in this program, which is a 3.54. And right now, we don't have this data for cohort 2, just because they've just started. However, we do have some other data. We have some program diversity data. Cohort 1, this is the program diversity data, and I'll just let you view that. Cohort 2, program diversity data. We have gender diversity data for cohort 1, gender diversity data for cohort 2, age diversity data for cohort 1,
14 years old.
And then age diversity data for cohort 2.
So I do want to go back just a bit and say that the Delta GPA is a UC GPA. So we're talking all UC transferable courses, and of course UC is the University of California system. So this slide goes into a saving comparison. So the advantages of dual enrollment are documented and they've been researched, and what it's found is exactly what we see on the screen. Because the students are taking essentially their freshman and sophomore year of general education courses and part of their major prep courses, they basically save their parents 2 years, which amounts to $25,000 in tuition savings that they get from the UC and CSU, because they're going to come in almost at junior level standing, which is a great benefit. In addition to that, the Delta College units are only $46 a unit. So the community college, of course, is one of the best buys for education. And the other thing that is happening with our students is that they're getting accustomed to the college setting and understanding the experience of college and university. And we see that they're pulling their weight. They're doing great. Our Mountain House students are doing really well. But I like more that they're getting used to the whole college environment and becoming college students.
At 14 and 15 years old.
Right. Okay, and this is what I was telling you before. I know, it's amazing, about the camaraderie and community that we're building at the school. So along with this program, them working outside of the day in their classes and everything, we have a early college pathway student club. And we do meet every Wednesday. Anybody who's been accepted into the program comes to the club. It's a lot of fun. They talk a lot about, basically it's kind of a support group. They talk about what's the next test coming up, what notes do you have, can I have your notes, can we share notes, those kind of things. And then the other thing that we work on is community service and helping them get their community service hours. So right now we have the Early College Pathway Program that's working on the Associate of Science degree in Interdisciplinary Studies, Math, and Science. But this is a secret, and don't tell anybody because people might get really, really jealous right now. We are looking forward to making a couple new pathways. I know it can't be a secret because we're on TV, but I'm just kidding. Anyway, we're looking at creating a couple more pathways, one in engineering and one in criminal justice. So that's our kind of exciting thing that we're going to be looking at into the future. So also, one more thing, we do have our Early College Pathway website, and if you go into the Mountain House main page and go under Early College Pathway, you can see a website there, and it has all this information on there and even more. So thank you for listening.
I just wanted to add in closing that I want to thank Curt and also Jesse and Ben for their vision and support, because this program is coming together and it's changing and we're making it happen for our students, but it's a lot of, going through some of the motions and figuring things out and adjusting, but it's looking good, and I'm very proud of it, and so their vision has helped us put this together, so thank you.
If you guys can hang out, if there's any questions from the board or comments?
Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm very excited about the programs.
This has been a vision from the beginning, and this is awesome. I'm so happy to see it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this progresses.
Yes.
Thank you very much for all the hard work.
Yes, and I'd like to thank the planning team. I know a lot of work went into this. And Dr. Nicholas, I think our interdistrict transfers in just went up.
Good.
Yes, I think so too. Thank you.
And it should be noted, Pablo is gracious there, but it's reciprocal graciousness. Dr. Garza Roderick is awfully subdued this evening, so I'm going to have to call her tomorrow. But if you haven't met Jessie, she is a fireball of energy and intelligence. And Pablo has to put up with Jessie every day, so he's the calming force. I've actually met with him and my own daughter, and he's an excellent counselor, and our kids are in great hands.
Thank you all for your work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And then we'll move on to item 11A, fundraiser policy review, staff report.
I'm going to ask Dr. Gill to come up and give a quick presentation on basically the policy and the practice.
And this was something that I had asked for. New school year, I thought we would start off just by making sure that we're all this has changed a few times, make sure we're all on the same page, make sure that the foundations have a clear understanding of what the policy is. And if there's any questions, and if we need to look at any changes, now is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Gill.
Oh, this is really long.
Good evening, Governing Board, Mr. President, and Dr. Nicholas. So thank you for allowing me to do this presentation. I'm going to try my best to make it as brief as possible and at the same time share important information. So our Fundraising Board Policy 3452 is very specific about the purpose of the student organization is to raise funds to make sure they are being used for general welfare of the students, the morale of the school, and then educational experience of the students. So those are the three purposes. We have two-step process. One is being approved by the principal at the school sites. After the site approval, it comes to the district office, to the superintendent designee. During the times when the school is not in session, then the first step is being skipped. It comes directly to the superintendent or designee to get it approved. In the beginning of the school year, the sites do their approval and they submit the fundraiser to the school district. We go through the approval process, but they can submit them anytime they want. Sometimes they submit them like twice a week. So it's very fluid, ongoing process all year long. In a nutshell, right here with this piece, the superintendent or the designee, in this case, Dr. Nicholas and I work together on this, that we bring the list to the board on an ongoing basis. We also ask the principal to not allow any hard sale fundraisers. We had this conversation a couple of years ago, even in this board. And finally, we make sure that the fundraisers are being reviewed by using the specific guidelines down here all the time, all of the fundraisers, by keeping these in mind, making sure our board policies are being followed and they are aligned with the educational programs at the school sites. And then this is a final overview of the approval process. So in a nutshell, the sites submit them to the district office. I review them and make a decision, and our goal always is to make a decision within 24 hours. If there are any fundraisers with alcohol, we do look at, are they off campus, are the students present, except in restaurants. And then finally, every Friday, we submit a report to the governing board through our Friday updates for the new fundraisers. After that step, sites can move forward with the fundraisers. So in a nutshell, if a site, let's say, sends a fundraiser to us on a Wednesday, they can start it by Friday, because by Friday afternoon, the report has gone to the governing board and they can start, because we want to make sure governing board is aware of all fundraisers that are being approved. And then finally, we also bring a list to the governing board agenda as a consent item. This is the form that is being used. This is how the sites put the fundraisers in the Google Doc. Basic information on here, but I really want to highlight this piece, which is the benefit and the fund piece. This is where the hold up is sometimes. Sometimes the school sites would put information in here which is very generic, like for example right here. I chose this example because this has some good examples and some examples that we should not be using. It's like ASB, very generic. We need to know specifically what the funds are being used for. So if something like this happened, then I have to call the site back, or we have to kick it back and saying, please be specific, right? Add specific information in there. So having example like 6th grade outdoor education or classroom books, that is very specific. That's what we ask them to do. And along with approving fundraisers, the board policy also talks about management of fundraisers. So we don't have any specific guidelines in the board policy for parent organization management, but we do have specific guidelines of management of funds for the student organizations, such as ASB or clubs and those type of things. For parent organizations, it's a practice, and part of the practice is that the principals at the school sites oversee all the funds that are being used in the parent organizations. Could be PTAs, foundations, boosters, etc. So I'm just going to go over this very briefly. Just to share with you that in the ASB, which is the student organization fundraisers, there are specific guidelines that are being followed. Ms. Kaiser and her staff work with the school sites very, very closely on a monthly basis to monitor how the money is being spent, and they use very specific guidelines for that. They also train the staff on an ongoing basis. They actually take the staff either to actually specific workshops or have other kind of trainings for them. And then again, the principal or the designee at the school site, for the principal's designee, is responsible for making sure that all student organization financial activities are being taken care of in a proper conduct. And finally, in a nutshell, that all the fundraisers, funds that are being brought in by a student organization, they should be reviewed by the district office on a regular basis. An update should be provided to the board on a regular basis, and then there should be an audit on an ongoing basis, especially annual audit of the fundraisers, or the funds that are in the student organizations. So I think I kept my promise of keeping it short.
Who does the audit?
It's the auditors that we have come in, and we also go out to the site and sample test. We can't obviously go through everything, but just to make sure they have segregation of duties and internal controls in place.
Thank you.
Yeah, and they also have the monthly reports, consolidation reports, those type of things as well.
Mm-hmm. And I know we invited all the foundation organizations and parent organizations. If anyone has any questions or comments from the organizations at this time that would like to come up and contribute to the conversation?
I do.
Okay, please.
Thank you.
My name is Sandy Soriano. I'm the president of the VAPA Boosters at the high school. I'd like to know if there will be available resources for parent organizations if we want to do an audit for previews and current funds that we are managing.
Do you have an answer to that now? Or?
Well, I specifically asked this question because my understanding is booster organization, PTA, they have their own taxpayer identification number, and so they could, by their own choice, select an auditor that they would like to, but it's not, I mean, I could give you a list of several different auditors.
Yes, please. We'd like to have that. Thank
Okay,
you.
I have quite a few.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation, Dr. Gill. Thank you very much. Any questions from the board?
Good.
I appreciate the review, and thank you for reaching out to the foundations.
Yes, and thank you very much for coming tonight, those of you from the organizations that are here. We really appreciate it.
Getting back to the agenda, moving on to committee reports, item A, facilities use. Mr. Palmer?
We have not had a facilities use meeting since our last board meeting. Our next facilities use meeting is October 25th at 6:30 p.m. right here.
Very good. Item B is District Advisory Committee. My understanding is we're waiting for a new LCAP template to be formed and released before we start meeting and working.
And that'll be happening in early November.
Early November, very good. Okay.
Again.
For the third time.
Item C, District English Language Advisory Committee.
You can start. I'll jump on at the end.
We had our first meeting of the year on September 29th. In this meeting, we reviewed the plans for the committee for the 2016-17 school year. I really want to commend Mrs. Bustatil for her efforts in taking over the leadership of the committee. I'm very excited about what our plans are for this year because the committee will be making brief presentations to the board about what we are doing, how these actions are impacting student learning and achievement, and also recognizing a few of our many English learner students for their hard work and achievements during the year. Our next meeting is Thursday, November 17th at 6:30 in the Altamont Library.
So I also attended the District English Learner Advisory Council with Trustee Clements. This council is going to have 4 meetings during the year. Our September meeting was this week, November 17th. That was last week, I guess. We'll also have a meeting February 16th. I'm sorry. Our September meeting was last week. Our next meeting is November 17th, then February 16th and April 27th. We're hoping staff will be able to turn these meetings into events highlighting cultures and student achievement. That was the goal. That's where we left the meeting. We have some very exciting activities planned, and we hope this will generate more participation from the parents at the meetings. The first event in November is to honor our second language learners who made honor roll, student of the month, or received another school-based award, such as citizenship. I'm sure there are other awards at the school that Mrs. Busatil is touching base with the other principals about. Excuse me. February will be a multicultural celebration, hoping for parent involvement for a potluck dinner. I am looking forward to that. In April, we will celebrate our students who have mastered enough English to be reclassified and are no longer considered English learners. We're also hoping that staff will be able to design mini board presentations that Trustee Clements mentioned to show the board and our community what the self-testing looks like, what an ELD portion of a lesson looks like as an education piece. Some of these may be live or they may be filmed presentation. It's hard to sit a child here and sit them down and do a lesson with them. So I'm looking forward to those presentations. Very impressive meeting and goals.
Sounds good. We're off to a good start. Item D, Gate Arts Music. Trustee Nielsen's not here tonight. Anything from staff?
I don't believe we have a scheduled meeting for the next meeting. Oh, Director Sherburne can come up and give an out.
Good evening. So last September 27th, we had our first GATE Music and Arts Committee meeting. I'm pleased to say that we had approximately 25 parents come for the meeting. So we had a really nice turnout. We had several presentations from site administrators on their plans for the use of the enrichment funds that the board allocated at the end of last year. So they were able to share some of the enrichment activities that they're doing at each of the school sites. We also had a really nice presentation from the music teacher, Mrs. Heinrich, on how the 5th grade traveling troubadours, what we're calling it, model has been going with providing 5th grade music, along with plans for starting our very first honor band. So we've been able to share quite a bit of information, and I was able to give updated progress on our initial stab at GATE testing and where we're at with that and how we're doing with our students in the process. So I think it was a very fruitful evening.
Thank you for the report. Item E, Grant Writing Committee.
So I attended the Grant Writing Committee on Monday, September 26th. Dr. Gill put a lot of time and effort into preparing the meeting and making phone calls and inviting people. We had 2 parents Dr. Gill, Mrs. Busatil, and myself. Being such a small group, we decided to focus our energies in one area, and that's safety and wellness. As a broad topic, this could include grants such as school gardens as a part of wellness, anti-bullying project grants as wellness, amongst many other potential topics for grants. We're hoping to align our efforts with the Wellness Committee because we're so small, and if we can have those two groups working together, we should be able to find some things that will benefit our students' education.
Very good, thank you. Safety and crisis response, we haven't had a meeting since our last board meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 19th of October. And currently, I know that our school resource deputy and some committee members are doing site surveys of the campuses, looking at camera locations, potential locations for new cameras, and other safety issues. And I also want to make mention during this report that we have 3 different committees working on anti-bullying, and that's a good thing. So we want to keep those efforts up. So thank you for all the work on that, and the Safety and Crisis Response Committee will continue to work on that as well. And item G, wellness.
We have not had a wellness committee meeting since our last board meeting, but the committee continues to review anti-bullying programs and lunch and recess period length data. Our next meeting is next Wednesday, October 12th at 3:30 right here.
Very good, thank you. Governing board reports. We'll start with our student board member, Samantha D. Tiberis.
Okay, so I don't have very much to report tonight because I was on independent study for most of the time. But I did have the opportunity to attend a leadership development day at the high school, brought to us by Castle, and then we got to work with the middle schoolers, and we learned a lot. Like the middle schoolers learned a lot, and the high schoolers got to learn a lot. So I'm very happy to say that we're all bringing it back to our campuses.
Very good, thank you. Appreciate that. Trustee Clemens?
Nothing to report.
Trustee Pombo?
I'll try to make this quick. I attended the freshman football game last week, and after working in the concession stand, I was able to enjoy the second half, and although our freshmen didn't win, it was a hard-fought game, and I understand it was the highest attended freshman football game to date at our high school. I also attended the Powder Puff football game, which was a lot of fun. It was really cold, but it was a lot of fun. Neat watching the girls play football and the boys cheer, pom-poms and all. Along with President Balzerini, I attended the Business Education Alliance Breakfast Symposium in Stockton. There were a couple of speakers there who spoke on vocational ed programs. Very interesting stuff, some stuff we can hopefully maybe bring back here once we get our voc ed building going and expand our voc ed offerings. I also attended the Lammersville School Foundation meeting, and the only reason I bring it up is that, as was mentioned earlier, we are celebrating our 140th anniversary at Lammersville School, and Saturday, October 22nd, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., we will have our Harvest Carnival, and everyone is invited and welcome to attend, and I hope to see other board members there this year like I usually do, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Lampel?
My report was in the committee reports.
Okay. I do have a few items from my report. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I wear a pink shirt at work. I'm going to wear a pink tie for our board meeting. I've had a pretty active last couple weeks. Thursday, the 22nd, I visited Altamont and Bethany. Tuesday, the 27th, I visited Lammersville and the high school, and then went out to Cuesta on Monday, the 3rd, and I went to Wicklund today. So I hit all the schools in the last 2 weeks, and first off, hats off to the site administrators, always moving, lots going on, and our teaching staff is amazing. I had the opportunity to go visit the classrooms and see a lot of the things that we discuss behind this dais in action, and watching the one-to-one with the Chromebooks is great. And I walked around with Mr. Faubert, and I told him, I said, I feel like I'm at Google. And I think that we're doing it right. I think that we're preparing our students for the kinds of jobs that are going to be available when they're of that age. So my hat's off to the staff. A lot of great work. Our students are just doing it, working together. Just about every lesson that I observed, there was a point for them to collaborate and then give a group answer, and it was amazing. So a lot of good stuff. I also went with Trustee Pombo to that Business Education Alliance Symposium in Stockton. A lot of good stuff there. I've already reached out to a couple different programs to try and get some information flowing here. So Mr. Faubert will be in contact on that. And I think that concludes my report. Receiving a public comment. If anyone has any public comment for anything that's not currently on the agenda. Dr. Khanna?
My comment is please do not schedule meetings when the Giants enter in a wild card playoff game.
With all due respect, sir, this meeting was scheduled long before that was. I hear you. Thank you for your comments. And for those of you that don't know Dr. Khanna, he was a board member on our elementary board, so welcome back. Thank you. Consent items for consideration, there are several. Item A, approval of the governing board minutes from September 21st. Item B, approval of contracts under $25,000, there's one. Item C, approval of the 2016-17 hires, there are 5. Item D, acceptance of resignation, there's 1. Item E, approval of updated 2016-17 fundraisers, which there is an amended item here. Item F, approval of a declared surplus for curriculum. And item G, acceptance of a donation, $500 from David Hooray towards Mount House High School ASB girls basketball team needs. We can remove any of these for discussion or approve all as one.
I would like to pull E for discussion, please. E is approval of updated 2016-17 fundraisers.
Of course. Should we discuss that now?
Yes, please. So we did receive an amended fundraiser list, and I just wanted to point out, it's a little confusing because it says, the last one says that the beer garden has been pulled. It's no longer going to happen, but it still has a yes in the alcohol column, and I just wanted to make a point that I would have pulled this for further discussion, but since they canceled the event, I don't need to. But we need to approve it
as amended.
As amended, clear that that item is pulled.
So for clarification, the LSF Beer Garden has been canceled.
Yes.
So that's what will go on the record.
Move to approve the consent items for consideration as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. Oh, and in tradition now, Trustee Lampel will introduce our new hires
On behalf of the
board.
entire board.
Okay, we'd like to welcome Albert Attia, Custodian 1, Elise Barcia, IT Tech 1, Aurea Cano, Administrative Secretary, Brian Chadwick II, Custodian 1, and Richard Gonzalez, Custodian 1. I'd like to welcome, and all of the board would like to welcome these folks to our Lammersville family.
There it is. Welcome.
District Administrative Reports, item A, Superintendent's Report.
Just have a couple of short announcements. I want to congratulate one of our high school students in music. The first two items have to do with music. Pakrit Goal as a first-time winner, putting our name on a map in a new way. At the 2016 California Orchestra Directors Association Honors Orchestra, he, as a freshman, amongst 300 applicants, was chosen as a first violinist for a group. So his reward for being a talented young person is to traveling to UC Davis in December, representing the county, the district, the school, and the community. And this is the first time ever for any of our music students at the high school. So congratulations to Pakrit. Mr. Miller, Ted Miller, our HR director, is not here this evening because he had a benchmark birthday. We won't say it out loud, but he turned 50. And he is celebrating this evening by going to the Paul McCartney concert. So we say congratulations to him and kudos to the Beatles, those of you out there that still remember them. And then the last thing I'll say is next board meeting, the number 60 is going to mean something different in our district. And that is that we will be honoring all 60 of our students who scored perfect scores on the CASP. 60 students.
That's great news.
That's my report.
Excellent report.
Amazing.
Item C, District Maintenance and Operations Report. Mr. LeGrand.
008th inning.
Thank
In case somebody's
Thank
interested.
you. Appreciate that.
In case somebody's paying attention. My brief report, the Prop 39 work has started at Lammersville last week. All the thermostats are in. They're replacing the rooftop units now. They're doing about 2 per night. They'll be done by the end of next week. They've also replaced about 50% of the thermostats at Wickland. When they're done with those, they'll slide over to Bethany and then to Cuesta. Working on a security camera plan, as you mentioned, from the District Safety Committee. I meet with the design group tomorrow afternoon in Sacramento. It's West King was kind enough to hook me up with them to get some ideas on what we could do for the whole district, roll out a whole plan. And then today I spent the morning with Alvina, Cush, and Joel. We walked 3 sites, Altamont, Bethany, and Cuesta, looking at parking issues, traffic issues, safety issues, those kind of things. So that's how I spent my morning today. So that concludes my brief report.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are we to understand that you have been following the Giants game instead of giving your undivided attention to our riveting board business?
Am I allowed to take the 5th in this setting, or how does that work?
We pointed it out, so that's
Is this a
clear.
court?
I did have a question.
Yes, sir.
So I visited every site, and there seems to be an ongoing theme, the lawn.
Mhm.
There seems to be dead grass, and our vendor that we're using for landscaping, is that an issue with them? Where's, you know what the problem is?
What people don't generally know is that when this contract was set up a couple years ago, it was set up very specifically for minimum grounds maintenance, and that's what we've been getting is minimum grounds maintenance. And anything irrigation is not part of it. Any additional planting, landscaping, that's not part of it. Those are all additional services. In some cases, we've been getting a little bit more service than we pay for. The contract actually calls for 2 people to be at the high school 1 day a week. They've been sending 3 people for as long as I've been here, and they're still not able to keep up. So it's something that we need to, I understand why they did it a couple years ago. Obviously, there's a reason. But moving forward, we probably should look at different options.
Yeah, that was one of those cuts that we made in an effort to not have to cut teachers.
Sure.
We cut
I mean,
back on
I totally get
everything,
it. So,
including maintenance.
yeah.
So what is the minimal service? What does that include?
Basically, the schools get a 2-person crew 1 day a week.
Okay, to basically mow and...
And basically what that amounts to is mow, we call it mow, blow, and go in the industry, kind of an unofficial term.
Yeah.
So they mow, they cut, and they blow the sidewalk off, they take off. So I signed proposals today just to get this landscaping down here. I signed some a couple days ago to get Lammersville irrigation fixed. That's all additional type service. We did some work at Cuesta before school started, all additional service that we have to pay for, not in the contract. So
Do we have a facilities maintenance plan? Do we have anything established? I mean, I was at Wickland today, and the campus is 12 years old, and it's starting to show it.
And we actually have, within the last actually, it was just before Jimmy started with us, Nolan and Lori Robertson had started preparing a 5-year plan. Obviously, what's the long goal, and then Jimmy and I and Aria now will be trying to fine-tune what those needs are.
I'm excited to see it.
Yes.
there's a skeleton 5-year plan. I wouldn't call
Template.
it comprehensive. Normally you plan out way more than 5 years. So, but
Start,
it's a start.
We got to get it going, and we got to get some of this work started because it's.
I agree.
I mean, Wickland needs paint, and I mean, all the campuses have issues.
Well, and as you're aware, the state cut back the requirement that you put into maintenance, and they're now starting to require districts to start putting more money into maintenance.
Deferred maintenance.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, both.
And they cut deferred
Both
maintenance as
routine,
well. So.
routine restricted and also deferred maintenance.
Very good. Any other questions from the board?
However, there is another item on here we'll be passing a resolution on that if the state construction bond passes, there's a mandate for the amount of reserve that we put.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
For your report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to action items. Item A, consider approval of the 2016-17 inter-district transfer requests. Staff report?
None.
Move to approve 2016-2017 inter-district transfer requests.
Second.
I'd like to make a comment before we vote on it. So the information that's provided to the board on the intra and inter-district transfers is confidential because it contains student names. I'd like our community to know the numbers, though. That is not confidential. We have 127 students transferring out of the district. 65 of them are high school, and 62 of them are elementary school. We have 182 students transferring into Lammersville. When I read that, I'm like, the public needs to know this because they're not seeing the reports that we see. 165 of those transferring in are elementary grades and 17 are high school. That number may seem a little skewed, but as we grow and have programs like we heard tonight, those numbers transferring into the high school, I'm confident they're going to grow. But the biggest thing that jumped out at me was 127 out, 182 in. Thank you.
Thank you. First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. Item B, consider approval of Governing Board Resolution 161708 in support of Proposition 51, the Kindergarten through Community College Public Education Facilities Bond Act of 2016. And I will start the report by saying this is something that I asked to be placed on the agenda. With my involvement with CSBA, they're really pushing for boards, local boards, to get more involved in state legislation. And I've been fighting the fight with them, and this is one that's extremely important to us. We need Prop 51 to pass. That's our facilities bond, so we can use money towards Hanson Elementary. Report from the staff?
Just to kind of further back that up. So the master plan community has kind of an expectation that our K-8 elementary schools are built with a combination of Melrose taxes, which pays for 65 to 75% of the school, and the rest is paid for by state matching funds. State matching funds don't exist because the last state construction bond was passed in 2006, and all of those funds have long since been spent. So this initiative was brought forward by CASH and CSBA and other organizations as an initiative ballot because the governor and the legislature have not passed a bond to gather the money. So our community, not only for Hanson, but all the other additional schools, are going to require a state construction bond in order to meet the needs of paying for that. And when you couple that with the escalating costs of building schools, they're putting us in a tenuous position of having to build schools in a rapidly growing environment without one of the key funding factors.
And this is something, I spoke to the chair of the Education Committee, Assemblymember O'Donnell, specifically about this proposition. Rumor in Sacramento is that the governor, even if it passes, the governor's going to try and play some games to try and not fund it. And I explained to him that our community specifically, it's built in our mitigation agreement that we need those funds. That's the funding source for our schools. So for future construction, we have to have it. And he was interested and listened. I don't know if it'll make any difference, but trying to fight the fight. So, any other board discussion or questions?
Move to approve Governing Board Resolution 16-17-08 in support of Proposition 51, the Kindergarten through Community College Public Education Facilities Bond Act of 2016.
I would gladly second. We've been waiting for years for this bond to show up.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Aye.
Colin Clements.
Aye.
Sharon Lampel.
Aye.
Shane Nielsen.
Absent.
David Pombo.
Aye.
Thank you, folks. Item C, consider approval of Governing Board Resolution 161709 to support Proposition 55, the Children's Education and Healthcare Protection Act of 2016. Staff report.
We're going to put up a couple of charts just to kind of give people a visual and numbers representation. If everyone will take a look at, there's a horizontal set of columns in kind of an olive color. The third one is called Education Protection Act. That was called Proposition 30 back in 2012. Those dollars are the result of the successful passage of Proposition 30, which was a temporary sales tax increase and a tax on wealthy individuals in our state. Those are set to expire over the next couple of years. And if you look at the amount of money that's been coming into our district and every other district in the state, as a significant amount of money when you look at an overall budget of about $35 million. So the passage of Proposition 55 is an extension of the key factors of Proposition 30 out to 2032.
And this is, again, another resolution I asked for just to show our support, and we're going to send this off to Sacramento that our local board supports Prop 55.
And I've said it at a few other meetings, and I want to say it again so people get it. This is not a new tax. This is an extension of a tax that already exists and money that the district already gets. The district will not receive additional monies from the passage of 55. And I'd like to point out, $23,561,547 in 5 years. That's a lot of money we will lose and have to make serious cuts if this proposition doesn't pass.
Move to approve Governing Board Resolution 16-17-09 to support Proposition 55, the Children's Education and Healthcare Protection Act of 2016.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Aye.
Colin Clements.
Aye.
Sharon Lampel.
Aye.
Shane Nielsen.
Absent.
David Pombo.
Aye.
Item D, consider approval of second reading and adoption of Conflict of Interest Code Board Bylaw 9270 and Exhibit 9270.
So 2 weeks ago, we brought forward this. This is a CSBA update on the Conflict of Interest Code. This one has a requirement that we review it biannual or biannually, and so this is the formal approval of that.
I'll move for approval of the second reading and adoption of the Conflict of Interest Code, Board Bylaw 9270 and Exhibit 9270.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. Item E, consider approval of Mount House High School speech and debate overnight school-sponsored trip. Staff report?
I don't have a staff report, but if there are any specific questions, I'll defer to Principal Faubert.
Looks great.
Thank you for all the info.
I'm just excited that our speech and debate program is up and running.
Doing well.
And doing very well.
Yeah. So I'll move for approval of Mountain House High School speech and debate overnight school-sponsored trip.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. Item F, consider approval of special education support services contract with outside agencies. There's one, Central Valley Autism Project, $99,489.80. Staff report?
This is services we can't provide in the district and the cost of supporting the needs.
I had a quick question on it. On the form for this service, there's a space for residential services. So I was confused if this was a residential placement, a non-public school placement, or is this service that's coming into the district?
This is a continuing service for from a non-public agency.
So they come here and service the student here?
Yes, that's
Thank you.
correct.
That was what I wasn't clear on.
And Alvina, this is coming general fund?
Yes, it is.
Any other board discussion?
Move to approve special education support services contracts with outside agencies, Central Valley Autism Project for $99,489.80.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one absent.
If I could just say one thing real quick. So I had a county superintendent's meeting on Monday, and Susan Eggman, who represents this area in the state assembly, was there, and she asked what the superintendents in the area needed in terms of support. And essentially every response was, we need more money, and we need more money in differing ways. So we want to provide our services to all of our kids and all of our kids' needs. But when you look at a annual, or actually a monthly rollout of all these additional services that are required and needed for children, which we're happy to provide, the state is not doing its part to provide support financially to support special education students. And they're funneling that support through the general fund or the block grant. In our district, LCFF, we don't get supplemental and concentration grant monies on a very significant level. So the stress that the lack of state funds coming to us on our general fund are significant. We also asked and requested that if Prop 51 does not pass, that what is their plan B? because there are districts such as ours, master plan communities, that need that money and modernization needs. So I did want to, as you're talking to your legislatures, we got to, she didn't have a good answer. All we can do is go to our officials, though, when we get in these positions and ring the bell. So I can say that all of the superintendents in the county, and there's about 15 of us, rang that bell quite loudly.
And along with the same thing, the CSBA Board of Directors made it one of the highest priorities is to continue to fight the state for unfunded mandates. So, item G, consider approval of adopting the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee bylaws. Staff report.
So one of the requirements with the Prop 39 GO bond, general obligation bond, is that you have to form a independent citizens oversight committee. And there's two parts to forming that. We've been working with Jones Hall, who's a legal firm that does consulting in this. So we brought forward the bylaws, which is the first step of forming the committee. Those bylaws were reviewed 2 weeks ago, or made available 2 weeks ago, and now we're formally approving them. The second step will be we had people who had actually applied to be members of that committee, and we'll do that in a second.
Any questions on item G?
Move to approve the adopting the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee bylaws.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. Item H, consider approval of Governing Board Resolution 161710, confirming appointment of Citizens Oversight Committee members. Staff report.
Through all the vehicles we put out of the committee, we had 6 people who applied. They fulfilled many of the 7 required positions. Then after we put out the board packet, 2 additional applicants came in. We consulted with our attorneys about the numbers, and there's only a minimum number in the bylaws. So we are approving the first 6 applicants. Next meeting, we will approve the second 2 additional applicants. They basically fulfill anything that has to do with a parent, an at-large person, or a member, a citizen who's interested in a parent-teacher organization representation. So we've ended any open applications for those type of positions. The only 2 areas that we have openings is for a senior citizen representative and a taxpayer association member who lives within the city limits and is also the association is within the city limits. So we can form the committee and not have these positions filled. It's very common, in fact, we were told. So we'll have to go out and do our best to get those parts filled. But we, with this vote, we'll have formally formed the committee.
When it comes back in 2 weeks, could we see kind of person by person who's filling each of the categories?
Yes.
Thank you.
And do you know what happens if we don't get applicants that qualify with all of the requirements?
We asked that question, and because our concern was okay, so now we've blown it because we couldn't find somebody. But we basically would just move forward until we can find someone to fill those spots.
And the question I received was, what is the commitment? How often will the meetings be?
It's a 2-year commitment, and in the bylaws, I believe it says that there are a minimum of 2 meetings per year.
2 meetings.
They could set their own schedule beyond that. There's another requirement that they give 1 annual report on what's happened, and there's also an oversight of an audit on the expenditures of the bond monies.
Move to approve Governing Board Resolution 161710, confirming appointment of a Citizens Oversight Committee members.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one absent. Information discussion items. Item B, Mountain House High School senior off.
Wait, that was a resolution, wasn't it?
It was a resolution. What? Yeah. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Aye.
Colin Clements.
Aye.
Sharon Lampel.
Aye.
Shane Nielsen.
Absent.
David Pombo.
Aye.
And Mr. President, I just wanted to say thank you to the members of the committee that stepped up to the plate. It's very important, and tip of the hat to them for doing that.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Information discussion items. Item B, Mountain House High School's senior off-campus lunch pilot update. Staff report.
I'm going to introduce Mr. Faubert, who is our expert on raising the podium. So we want to thank him for exercising that skill set.
So last year we piloted an off-campus lunch privilege for students, and it was brought forward from the students themselves, and they came to this board meeting and presented it, and we ran it last year. So I have a little bit of data and then some recommendations as we move forward. So currently the board policy states that students shall not leave the school grounds at any time without written permission of their parents, guardians, and school authorities. And when we first developed the high school, we talked about off-campus, and we said that we would wait and see as soon as we had students old enough to be leaving campus. And during the development phase, that's what we did. And last year, seniors came forward and we did a pilot program. So during that pilot program, the students came up with the parameters of the program, and they were a lot more strict, if you remember, than I would have ever been. It was kind of funny, and I was like, fine, strict enough for me. Currently this year, for some reason,
I think it's supposed to be 22, not 2.
22.
Yeah.
I don't know what. 22 of the 49 seniors last year applied for off-campus lunch, and 7 of those 22 were not approved because of poor attendance and grades last year. 15 total students were approved to leave campus, and the average number of students signing out per day was 2.3. I think we had, and it says the highest number of students signed out, and it's not showing up there. 6 on any one given day. So it wasn't a whole ton out of the 15. Never even half.
Nowhere to go except
There's
home.
nowhere to go, yes, except for home. So, and they wanted to be with their friends, and most of their friends couldn't leave campus anyway. So here's the main components of the off-campus plan. They have to be academically successful, which means nothing below a C. They have to check out on time and each time they leave campus and when they return. The parent has to sign a written consent form saying that they understand that their child can leave campus during the day. They have to be a senior, and they have to be meeting behavior expectations, overall attendance, returning for lunch on time, behaving in class, et cetera, no referrals, et cetera. So the recommendation for this year after our successful pilot is to continue the program this year by actually amending the board policy now to allow the senior off-campus privilege, amending it to add language that basically states that no student can go off campus with the exception of, and I believe it's in the board packet. I'm sorry I didn't put it on the slide presentation. I thought I had put it on the last slide. This is the AR. It's the board policy. I apologize. Board policy. Here it is. So the language that we would add is as an exception to this rule, the 12th grade students in the 12th grade can be eligible to leave campus during lunch period if they have good grades, good attendance, good behavior, and parental permission. And then the addition of underneath student handbooks will fully explain disciplinary procedures and the maintenance of closed campus and 12th grade off-campus lunch expectations. So it's language that rounds it out and allows us to actually put in what is already in place. So there is already an administrative regulation that allows off-campus as long as the plan is developed. So this would reflect board policy putting the administrative regulation into play, and then the policies and procedures are set forth as we had presented last year, and we don't recommend any changes to the pilot. It was successful. The one thing I would report is that we did have one student who broke the rules and didn't show back up to school one time in that last year, and that student's privilege from that point on was revoked, and it wasn't a problem. So out of all those, and I believe the pilot went for 15 weeks. So for 15 weeks and one issue with the 22 students who were allowed to leave campus. And just so you know, it was the last week of school, and she just didn't want to come back. Yeah. It was the last week of school, like one of those days when we were having senior activities, and she went home for lunch and was like, I don't want to come back. So,
What about about tardies? I mean, with an average of 2.3 a day, it's not a lot of data, but did we have occurrences or reoccurrences of tardies coming back from lunch?
No, like I said, we only had the one problem. Students were never.
And coming back late was considered a problem, right?
Coming back late from lunch? That was, so if the student in the rules, if a student comes back late from lunch the first time, they get their privilege revoked for a week. The second time, they get it revoked for a month. And the third time, they get it permanently revoked.
So the only revocation was that one student?
One person who
Not bad.
didn't come back at all. So we didn't have problems. We give them, the freedom to do it, and I think that they govern themselves pretty well. It's kind of the same philosophy of when we put flex periods into place at the school, and everybody thought, oh, you're going to have 100 students running around campus causing problems. I mean, President Balzerini was there the other day,
firsthand.
And we walked around, and I said, Matt, there's like 120 kids on flex period right now, and he was like, where? You don't even see them. They're sitting in the student lounge. They're in the cafeteria and hanging out, being quiet. It's more. I believe that you give them a little bit, and they take the responsibility well. It's more like a community college type feel.
And that was exactly the comment that I was going to make. Is I think this policy will follow the culture that's been created at that school, and we've got responsible kids there, and they created this policy, which I love, and. Yeah, I support this. I think that we should bring this forward, make it a permanent policy.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying agreed.
My first reaction reading all of this was, those are very small numbers and we should extend the pilot. I don't know if I'm convinced, but you're right. We do have good kids and they are responsible. So rather than reading my little thing here that I said I think we should extend the pilot, maybe I would feel comfortable with a mid-year report of how it's going, and then I would be inclined to agree, because we do have good kids and they do well in school, and they've made it to be seniors. There's got to be some privileges, and again, there's still nowhere to go.
There is nowhere to go. Well, we found last year when they were leaving campus, they were going to their house. And then
the only thing that I think we should add, and Ben, I know you know about this. I think either the BP or the AR needs to have some reference to students being subject to school discipline for some off-campus behavior. There's nowhere for them to go now, but Ben and I know of a situation in another district where there was a huge food fight at a fast food place. They will eventually be here. Those kids were not permitted to walk the stage at graduation. So just some sort of reference to, if they're speeding around town in their car and running red lights and stop signs, all 100 of them, just that there needs to be some reference to off-campus behavior. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it would be handbook. I think that it would be just to update the handbook or the policy or the procedures itself and just state student and parent understand that while student is off campus, they're still under the same disciplinary procedures that would happen during a regular school day.
Some reference somewhere. And it wasn't just a food fight that I'm talking about. They destroyed the restaurant with food. So.
And for the superintendent, when this does come back, I'd also like to see the specific language from the handbook attached, just for reference, so we can have a complete package, just policy sample.
And just so that you know, we've already started the process, and if students are still within that pilot right now, if the board is okay with that, to make sure that we can just continue until we've figured out whether that has whether the board policy will be changed. So we do have students turning in paperwork now, and
I'm okay with that.
For that.
Yeah,
Got it.
under the same pilot.
And I would just like to say thank you to you and your staff for following through with this, and also a big thank you and recognition to the handful of last year's seniors who took the initiative to, do something about something they felt strongly about. And also, I just want to comment that I'm very much in favor of rewarding students who are responsible and keep their grades up and those kind of things. So I'm 100% in favor of this.
So when we hear some kind of mid-year report on this, after we approve the board policy, which I'm sure will be at the next board meeting, I'd like to hear mid-year if this is consuming a lot of staff time. We don't want this to have a negative impact on the staff. You're all spread thin enough.
Okay.
And I'd like the message to go back to the students that if you use the process, you can get things done. I think that this is a good life lesson. So
Yeah.
I think
you
they
very
get
much.
it.
Yes, through our student board member, can deliver that message back to the campus.
I will.
Thank you.
How do you feel about all of this?
I believe that it should happen. The students are responsible and it should happen. And hopefully it'll still be here next year when I'm a senior.
Thank you for the report. Item C is first reading of the revised board policy 5112.5, open closed campus. I think we just completed that.
Correct.
All right. Item D, spelling bee judges, November 7th.
We're recruiting spelling bee judges.
I
was already recruited.
So how many do you have and how many do you need? Because some of us already volunteered.
I understand Dr. Gill knows the podium expectation. And since she gave such a concise and cogent thing, we want to show her off a little bit more.
So good evening again. As you know, every year we do this, and we used to do this in this room before. Now we are doing it at the high school. So along with, we will have judges. We are going to need judges for the 4th through 6th round and the upper grade round, 7th to 9th round as well. And we typically need 4 judges, but we also have people like timekeepers, reading, spellings. That is the most difficult job to do, those words. So typically we have 3 or 4 people for that because people are sweating in the middle of the thing, and I swap people. We're looking for words. We have dictionary people. So there are like 15 different jobs at that time. People may not know that all different jobs that it does. He's making fun of me. But it does take, it's exciting, but it does take lots of people working together because our kids are so smart, we can't even find words anymore. So definitely 4 judges. But once in a while it happens too that somebody doesn't show up, then we swap people for other jobs.
Well, I will definitely be there.
Thank you, we appreciate
I will
that.
be there.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I would be happy to be involved again this year if you need me. If you don't, I'm fine with that too.
We'll always need you.
I'll have to see if I can jiggle my schedule around.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Item E is San Joaquin County Annual School Board's Dinner is November 17th. Anything further on that?
Anybody going? I have to RSVP.
I nagged enough and I got permission. Yes, I'll be there.
Yes, okay.
I'll be going. I'm still trying to find out if Jenny's going with me.
Okay, so we have Sharon. Do you know meal choices?
Oh,
I would
didn't
like to
bring
go.
page 2.
And I will be at
there
a
it is.
conference for work, so I'm not going.
If I can point out that 2 years ago when we attended that function, there was a very special evening that happened, very similar to the one that's happening this evening, in which our favorite baseball team was playing the 7th game of the World Series while we were listening to State Superintendent
See,
Tom
Dr. Khanna,
Torlakson.
It's not just us.
Did you get everything you needed? Okay, all right. Moving on to calendar. All the committee meetings are noted. Our next regular governing board meeting is Wednesday, October 19th. And then also, we have the dates for DARE. Are those coming out? Okay, I think I have those.
I haven't received them yet. Usually he emails, but.
I haven't got anything.
Let me see. Pretty sure. Okay. Bethany's on October 18th, Wicklin October 19th, Lammersville October 26th, and Cuesta November 3rd. Actually,
These are during the day?
these are at 6:30 p.m.
Oh, can you?
So I will forward this.
those again?
I'll
Yeah,
forward this to the
thank you.
board. Steve Abercrombie had sent me a message just to let me know. So, in a moment, we're going to be adjourning to closed session. We're going to be discussing item A, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, complaint. Item B, pupil personnel. Consider approval of waiver to an expulsion case number 161701. Consider approval of expulsion case number 161702 and expulsion reinstatement. Item C, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. 1, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2, subdivision D of section 54956.9, 1 potential case. Item D, conference with legal counsel, 1 pending litigation. Item E, conference with legal counsel, 1 existing litigation, 1 case. And item F, conference with real property. Is there a motion?
I will move to
Adjourn
adjourn
to
to closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Blank.
Motion carries with 1 absent.